Not letting that go. Okay, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Community Spotlight on this Saturday. Man, it's right. I don't know, Dr. Taylor. It's pouring down rain in here, but I know it's probably sunny in Indiana.
It's hot.
Make sure you guys go to blackmediamoguls.com to the website to go check it out. Also follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can also see this interview on our YouTube channel and the Facebook as well. So, had to sport my people today, my alma mater,
You
for
got
Dr.
it.
Taylor.
You got it.
I had to, and for Dr. Rashawn, I had to for y'all today.
Oh yeah.
So, how's it going in Indiana?
Indiana right now is hot. It's humid outside. You know, it's good, but it's always a great day when you can see all of these students on campus. They're coming back, having a good time. I will say this for those who are not either U of E or USI or not affiliated with those institutions. I know you're kind of mad right now that the Lloyd is a little bit packed because it's packed. It hadn't been this way in a couple of months, so we're ready now. So that 20-minute commute got to be 30 minutes now. And so, and and so it's just like it's glad to see. It's glad to have those types of problems though, because you know that the students are here. Again, we're just trying to make sure everybody keeps on their masked up, keep it ready to go, and so that we can keep our doors and everything open, so we can protect each other and stop the spread. So.
Yep. So, since for those who do not know you, Dr. Taylor, making some big moves out of USI, make sure go ahead and let everyone know who you are and what you do.
Oh, okay. So, Dr. D'Angelo Taylor, I'm the Associate Director of the Multicultural Center at USI. I also serve as an adjunct instructor in the doctoral program of educational leadership at the University of Southern Indiana. As far as my community involvement goes, I'm involved with a few things. I'm a board member for Brothers Out Saving Souls, better known as Boss Inc. I am also the district director for Indiana for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. See my stuff right there. And so I work a lot with all of the universities where we have chapters in the state, and 6 different communities where we have what we call alumni chapters. Also involved in the Morganfield, Kentucky area. I'm everywhere. I'm accessible. I try my best to be as available as I possibly can with my schedule. Also oversee 3 mentoring programs within my time. And so when someone says, when do you have free time? I do have free time. I'm free with Bree today, so I got free time, and so you got my free time today. Saturdays are usually my days when I don't have programs, but we're making it work, and I continue to say that I want to do as much as I can for who I can while I can.
How on earth do you balance all of that?
And I can tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not everything, but how do I balance it? And so I like to work ahead. So I like to plan stuff out months in advance. Like, so while everyone is enjoying their summer, not to say that I don't have fun and have my, that work-life balance, when it's game time, it's game time. I was talking to a couple of my colleagues the other day, and I said, is it me or are your legs a little sore? And they were like, yeah, so that's a good feeling, because we hadn't been back in this full in-person environment since pre-COVID. And so having to walk up these stairs, walk across campus, usually we were just at home walking from, the living room or the kitchen or the bedroom to the computer. And now we're back interacting with students. It's like we're learning our job over again, but we know what we need to do. So it's kind of like just a refresher. But I make sure that I plan things out ahead of time. I get involved with great causes. For me, it's not about just having my name on something. That doesn't really do me any good. It's like being available and being able to make an impact in the community. And so I think I've been able to do that here. I know I've been recognized for a couple of things here, but also just continuously, working as hard as I can. The students at USI, I think they gave me what they call the Eagle Award, Spirit of the Eagle Award, and for my work with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I just won another award for my peers in student affairs, which is diversity, equity, inclusion focus. And recently, I don't know if you saw the post, Bree, but they just named the top 20 under 40 for Evansville through Evansville Rotary. I just got that too. And so people are like, how do you do all of this stuff? It's like, hey, you let me know if I can fit you in, I can fit you in, because at the end of the day, somebody fit me in. Somebody made space for me and time for me. And so, it was nothing to get on this call today. And thank you for allowing me to be here.
Wait a minute. Like you named about 3-4 awards just in that
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So how did you get to USI in the first place? Because I think that's where we met is
Hmm.
at USI. How did you get there?
So I came from USI from my alma mater, Western Illinois University, where I was in admissions. And so I went to WIU for both my bachelor's and my master's degree, both in political science. And I went home for a couple of months and I was job searching. I was like, I got these degrees, I know I'm gonna find a job. And it wasn't hidden. So I had two choices, right? One of the choices were I was actually gonna go to the Air Force. And then the other choice was, I'll just have to stay here and grind it out. But I got a call from WIU at the time from the vice president, and he said, "We got a job opening, and I need you to talk to such and such." And I was the director of admissions, and he basically said, "Hey, listen, we can't guarantee you that you're going to keep this job for more than a year because it's temporary. But if you do well, there'll be some considerations made." And so my job was to recruit students from the South Side, West Side, and some parts of the North Side of Chicago, and I did
Mm-hmm.
a very good job. We increased numbers up there, so it's like, oh, cool. And I took a visit down to St. Louis, and then I ended up recruiting there, and I recruited other places. But then I got to a point after 3 years of doing that, I'm like, man, I can get students to a school, but I want to be the resource that they tap into when they get to campus. And so I applied for the
Right.
job at USI, and I moved from Illinois to Indiana, and I've been here since 2016. I do what they call a SWOT analysis, and so I had my friends on the call because I had 3 job offers at that time, and they were just like, man, one of the schools is out in Delaware, and they said, man, that's the school, man. It's close to home because I'm from Richmond, Virginia. And I said, well, you know, I never thought I would be in Illinois. So I guess Indiana it is because I don't know if I'm ready to get back too close to home yet. I did get back closer to home because it was like 15 hours away. Now it's only like 12 or 10 or 12 hours away. So I'm closer now than I was before. But yeah, I told him, I said, this seems like a great opportunity. And I want to go somewhere where there's a challenge. And USI has continuously challenged me every year since I've been here. And I think, for me, that's what keeps me involved and actively engaged. I don't get bored. I won't say that I was bored with the missions, but I think I had reached where I needed to reach and who I needed to touch at that time. And so I just kept those networks open. And now I'm here at USI.
Yeah. So what is I guess your biggest challenge with, doing the position that you have now? Because at first you were, recruiting the students to come to the school, but now you're like the person that they come to. So what is like the biggest difference between the two?
Whew. I think the biggest difference now is that social media is more prevalent, and
Mm.
more invasive when it comes to our students' lives. It's one of those things where many of our students, they have an understanding of what they want to do, but sometimes social media guides them into a different place. And so my biggest challenge is, helping them understand the benefits of being actively involved in networking through social media mediums, i.e., Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and then building their brand, but also understanding that that person that's on social media should resemble somewhat of who that person is in person. And so my biggest
Man.
challenge has always been, trying to make sure that I push them to, be their authentic selves, but also making sure that they're utilizing the networks and not letting the networks use them. And so I think that's been the biggest challenge, and the shift from admissions to what I do now. So I plan, program, implement, and evaluate the different things that we do in this office. And we have I'd say we're near almost 100 initiatives and programs and events per year. And so we
Yeah.
a lot of work in the multicultural center. We have 5 staff members, 4 professional staff, and one administrative associate, and we do a lot of work. And so my admissions background, which actually was birthed in my political science background, has allowed for me to make sure that these programs are done without having to um, be filled with empty seats. And so I've been able to
Yeah.
persuade
Yeah.
folks to events when they otherwise would not have, and so that helped me in that transition. I think the difference is with admissions, you pretty much work, and by admissions counselors who will be listening to this, don't I ain't gonna try to give out all the trade secrets, but it's about 7 months on the road. You work throughout the
Mm-hmm.
entire year, but it's like 7 months on the road, and then you get to take a lot of time off because you accrue all of this time. Well, when you every day in the office, you don't get that same accrual of time because you're not working over. And so that was a big adjustment. I was like, I'm making more, but I don't get to take all these these days off because I was used to taking
Right, right.
a few weeks and so on and so forth off when I was in admissions. And so that was the biggest shift. And I remember my mentor, who's president at Central State, telling me, he said, "You got a real job now." And so I said, "Man, you might be right. I mean, both jobs are real, but one is like a real deal. You got to be here every
Right.
day. And so if you're
Mm-hmm.
not present, then somebody gonna talk bad about you."
So I know from the time that I went, and disregard the thunderstorms that is rocking my rocking outside
Okay.
right now.
All
If
right.
so, if you hear that it just got dark real fast.
Okay.
So I know from me being at USI to now that it has like really, really changed, for the better. So how has it changed since you've been there? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I graduated in 2011. So, with
Yeah.
Dr. Rashawn and everything going on, how has it changed?
Oh man, I'd say this: USI has been blessed to have some pretty strategic and innovative leaders since I've been here. So when I got to USI, Dr. Rashawn was provost, Dr. Linda Bennett was
Hmm.
president, and I mean, that was a great team. And I think you see the same synergy between Dr. Rashawn and Dr. Kayum in making things better. I'd say the USI has changed not only with the program delivery and being able to offer more innovative programs for students and opportunities, but it's also changed physically. When I got here, we had
Hmm.
that pack, little pack that you go into. Now we got the state of the art arena. We just got a tour yesterday of these new facilities,
Hmm.
that we have at USI. Athletic facilities and classrooms for kinesiology. We got a welcome center now. We have
Okay.
so we have all these different physical buildings. But I think what makes USI a special place is that you can have all of the glitz and the glamour. And by being a young campus, we don't have much deferred maintenance. Everything is pretty much kept up pretty well. But
Hmm.
we're able to highlight all of those different facilities in those buildings to the people who work in them. And I would say that USI, when I got here, uh, we had a there's more synergy now between all of the departments. And so
Hmm.
when we and I got here, I was a new kid on the block. So you got to make those connections. When I got here, I got hired with 3 other people or 2 other people. So my supervisor has been here for over 40 years. Shout out to Executive Director Hobson. And so she's been over 40 years doing her thing. But when she brought in
God,
these
it's been
innovative
40
folks,
years for Miss Hobson.
yeah, yeah. So,
Whew.
yeah, right. And so learning under her tutelage and then being connected with the current president, Dr. Rashawn, and so many other leaders on campus, Dr. Khalil Doss, who's our vice president of student affairs. Shout out to Dr. Doss as well. We've been able to create this this new, I guess, a new dimension. Like, so we were already
Hmm.
doing things from what I consider to be very well. We have in our office one of the highest retention rates for students who are involved in our programs and events. So we do very well, especially with freshmen coming in. And so now it's like, all right, what's the next challenge? And so what I've
Right.
seen, at least in our office, is that we've gone from, you know, doing things very well to now taking that same knowledge and how to do things well and being innovative and trying to predict out or game out what the next challenge is going to be and
Hmm.
preparing for it. And so we have a few things coming down the pipe that I can't mention on here right now, but you'll hear about it soon, Brie. I'll make sure you know about it. But we're working. And so when I got to USI, again, it was like, man, this is so much different from Illinois. Because Illinois,
Right.
the
Right.
school I came from, had been around since 1899. And so
Hmm.
when I got here, I'm like, dang, this is different. This is different. This is different. I would love to see this. I would love to see this. And the great thing about USI is that if you have an idea and you have a plan of action, they're like, go for it. And so we've been able to do a lot of different things in our office, and I've seen a lot of folks on campus. And then there have been these bridges that have been created, not because there were issues beforehand, but because we just didn't know what each other did. And so now it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, this
Yeah.
bridge is being created, everybody needs to, you need to cross this one. Maybe we got a program over there in the art center that's connected to, housing and residence life. It's like all these things are connecting, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing since I've been here.
Yeah, that's good. So like the game plan when you guys like work with these students, is there sometimes like some things work and then other times you're like, no, we got to go back to the drawing board because that didn't do so well?
Absolutely, because the approach that I use, and I'll just speak from the mentoring program. The approach that I use in 2016 is completely different now. Like if the guys that I mentored 2016 graduated 2017, 2018 came back now, they were like, "Oh, Dr. Taylor, you soft. You was hard to paint on us." But I had to tell them, it's like, number one, y'all responded to that. This the
Yeah.
newer students, this new age group, they're not going to respond to the same hardening pain. So I have to think critically and intellectually how I communicate what I need and how I also understand their needs. And so there have been times where we've had programs where like, that's a hit. Then it's like,
Yeah.
that's a miss. And I would say the misses, and I'm not trying to brag, but our misses are far and far and few between. Like we don't have many misses because
Yeah.
again, we have a way that we plan out our programs, how we recruit students to come in and be involved in our programs, how we get them involved with our organizations, how we get them involved with other campus departments and initiatives that are going across on campus and in the community. We just had 3 students who finished the internship at Old National Bank. They sent us the internship. They say, we really want, a multicultural flavor to our program, and we're just like, great. And so we start reaching out to students that we know have that potential or have that interest in that field or in a subfield that works with the bank. And so we've been able to truly, I don't say we've perfected it, but we've gotten pretty close because, like I said, different students want different things. When I got here, it was just like playing it out, and we come. Now it's just like I want to have a hand in the planning, and so I need to figure. You
Right.
need to figure out how I can be involved with that, and that's been a godsend for me, especially because I'm like, hey, listen, I tell students all the time, listen, I'm just gonna tell you now, I'm gonna throw you into the fire, but it's not to burn you, it's to mold you, right? It's to mold you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Oh
not gonna
yeah.
burn you, it's gonna mold you. And so, like that clay that they put in the oven, it's gonna mold you. You'll be okay. But I want you to get involved. And students respond well to that. But again, you no one size fits all, and I think that's the best thing that we've learned. We have objectives, learning outcomes, and then like I always bring up whenever we have a program or a new initiative, I said, let us turn back the clock at 18 years of age. As a matter of fact, let's bring in some 18-year-olds who just came to school, who are currently at the institution, and get their input. And then we produce what we produce from there.
Yeah. So how important is it for you being, a Black man in that position that you hold, like, to be I guess like an example of what, to other students, I mean, whether it's a Black female or a Black male, like being in that position?
Oh, absolutely. And so ironically, I want to say that there's only ever been a Black male in this role. And so
Okay.
that's interesting. So executive director, formerly Director Hobson, was always in the direct role, and then there was myself, Kashada McClellan, who's shout out Shy
Oh
Meversville,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Mr. Herman Thomas. So it went like that, and so uh, it was different when I got here because I think Shy had been gone for a year. I think he was gone for a year, and so when I got here, there was just like this. There he is. There's someone in this role, and we can talk. And so I'll tell you this story. So I have a great supervisor. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever had a bad supervisor in my career. And so a supervisor comes to me. She said, I haven't seen you all day. Now, it took me a while to realize what that meant. But basically, what she was saying was that, your office has been packed. Make sure you focus because it's the calm before the storm, right? But when I
Yeah.
got here earlier in the summer, I got here in June, July. Some of the students stopped by, and I'd say August, early August, the guys that were on campus, young ladies as well, they would come and just commandeer my office, like hours on end, and to a point where I'm doing work, I'm listening. I'm like, man, y'all got some of the craziest conversations, but it's because they needed that support, and I was that support. So I would turn and I would just be working, and then look back and say, "Oh man, that's crazy. What do you think about this?" They'll be here debating, and so my job was to just listen and be there for them. I think sometimes we get caught up in trying to create a plan for everybody when they come to school. Like some people just want you to just listen, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have a
Yeah.
plan. Some people just want you to listen, and so when I got here up until now, it's always like this is the person, especially for young males of color on campus. This is the guy. But then they come to the office like, "You're a doctor?" Like, yeah, yeah, I am. And I remember getting that doctorate degree, and some of the guys who graduated, they would call me, they would congratulate me and everything. And I told them, I said, "Man, y'all kept me going because there's many times on that journey that I wanted to give up, but much like my journey to college, I wanted to give up in my undergraduate years, and I thought to myself, if I give up, folks who are looking up to me may say, well, dang, if D couldn't do it, then I can't do it either."
Man.
So
Yes.
the impact has been enormous, but I think as an office as a whole, we all have different personalities, different ways that we interact, and it's funny. It's like I tell people, it's like a family. We come to work, we joke, we laugh, we cry, but at the end of the day, our students are our priority, and we sometimes, we lose sleep trying to figure out what's the best approach, and we
Mm-hmm.
really come up with it the next day after we've had a good
Yeah.
night's or a bad night's
Yeah.
rest. We come up with it.
So let's
Right.
switch gears and talk about your awards that you've been, because
Okay.
you named off so many, but
Yeah.
the one that like drew me to your page on LinkedIn was the one, the initiative that you did, and now I can't even think of the name of it off the top of my head.
You talking the
Um the what?
healing circle?
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. That,
Yeah.
how did that come about? And yeah, just tell me about it.
So the crazy thing about the healing circle was that, so my supervisor always says that she's like, I have all the ideas, anything you could think of, I probably thought about it, but it just wasn't the right timing. But the healing circle actually spun off from Power Hour, which is a program that we have here in the Multicultural Center. And so Power Hour, I used to do Power Hour a few years ago. It was given to me as a program, and then we had a good postdoc who came in, and so we shifted it to him and one of my other coworkers, and so they took it over. But it basically starts off with the question of how you're feeling, and so Power Hour differs though from the Healing Circle for a couple of reasons. Power Hour is more driven by us professionals.
Mm-hmm.
The Healing Circle was we on the call, but y'all are gonna be the
Yeah.
ones that lead the discussion because we need to know how we can support. And so it started with the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and
Mm-hmm.
Ahmaud Arbery. And so all of this was, revving up. But the crazy part about it is these things took place, either before or right after students had gone home. So we were just like, but we still got to connect with them because most of our students, especially the ones who frequent the MCC, a lot of them, we are that support system when it comes to things like this. And so we said, how can we get folks together? And so the reason why I won the award is not because I came up with the idea. My supervisor already had that tucked away. I was able to create and think about topics that would come down the pipe, and then create uh, avenues and bridges where we either had them or we needed to repair them. And when I say repair, just reach out and have a conversation about bringing someone in. And so we've had conversations that have been in depth about the 2020 election, thinking about George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, the civil unrest, thinking about what is the insurrection, thinking about what do we have? I'm trying to think of all the topics off my head. How to be mentally, how to protect your mental health, and bringing all these different folks in. And so when I got nominated for it, I'm like, oh well, this is everybody's award because at the end of the day, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I was very, I'll say this, I'm not usually pressed, but I was pressed to like, these are the topics that I see coming up, and they're just like, I think you're right. I need you get this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. I mean, we had a conversation with law enforcement officers on the call about I forget what was the name, how we termed it, but how is it, what are some of the things that you would tell folks as far as community policing? What are some of the things that you heard? And it was just like, this is going to be an open session, open dialogue, where you might hear some things that may surprise you, that might hurt you, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
coming from a place
Mm-hmm.
of hate. it's coming from a place of love because folks just don't know. And so when I was able, I got that award, it was cool. Like I tell people, the awards, I mean, and my grandmother used to say this, and rest in peace. And my mentor always tells me this. He said, my entire time being on earth, and my grandmother used to say the same thing. And my entire time being on earth, nobody who's on their deathbed has ever said, I have one last request. Can you bring me all of my degrees and my awards one last time? Right? Nobody ever
Yeah,
said that.
yeah.
So it's not that the awards don't matter because I got some up behind me from my fraternity and everything. It's just to say, okay, you did it. But like my grandmother told me, about a year out before she passed, and I said I got this done and everything. She was like, yeah, cool. So what's next? All right. And it's
Mhm.
like, what's next? It's like you can still have that foundational knowledge and how to help people in that current state, but what's the next challenge? What's the next obstacle? What's the next thing that you want to do? Where's the next impact area that you want to, impact? And so that award was cool. Top 20 under 40 for the Rotary that's going to come out here over the next couple of weeks. That's cool too. It's recognizing the effort and impact that I've made not only on campus but in the community. Those things are great. But again, there's a song, and I think it says, it goes, uh, if I can help somebody along the way, then my living will not be in vain.
Being in vain.
And so that's how I think about it. It's cool to get them because one of my one of my supervisors when I was in college, his name was David Downey. He said, D'Angelo, you're going to be undervalued and underappreciated your entire life. Don't expect awards. And up until about 2018, I said, David, you're right. And then I started getting the little things here and there. It's like, okay, you're getting awards now. But for me, it was never about the awards. Everybody wants to be recognized. So they want to say, okay, people value me and they understand my presence and my purpose and the necessity of me being here. But at the end of the day, I tell people every year, there are 2 times a year where, I cry uncontrollably. And because I'm using everybody's toilet paper, the tissue paper, whatever, paper towel, whatever, napkins, handkerchiefs, is at graduation. Because
Mhm.
I have students who have it figured out. I have students who are trying to figure it out, and I have students who have no clue. And all of them have walked across the stage since I've been here, and I cry. I cry. They're
Mhm.
like, "Cry?" I cry. I can't stop crying.
So
And
that's what I was gonna ask. Like, out of all the things that you're involved in and a part of, what is the the one thing that you're most proud of? And I think it would be like the graduations,
the
because I've seen
graduation,
those pictures like on social media.
when I get the baby photos, here's my. I think all of my students that have had children have had young young boys, and so it's always funny. It's like, listen, remember, there's like, because I'm not a father. Some of them look up to me as if I am one, and I said, remember, you're gonna be great at this, reinforcing the fact that you're gonna be great at this, because you know, growing up, my dad was in and out, and then he was out,
Mhm.
and so it was one of those situations where what would I do or what did I miss? And so you kind of weave some of those things in to your mentorship. What are some of the things that I wish I would have known? You know, open the door
Yeah. So
for.
what is like something that you in your mentorship that you tell them that you wish you would have known?
Oh, so I could say that in the beginning, and it's still a thing now. I always say, being president is half the battle, right?
Mhm.
So that's one thing I wish I would have had, more so with my dad, is that being president is half the battle. I didn't need him to show up to everything. I just needed the calls or the, being involved at some point. And so letting them know that being president is half the battle. Don't be late. Always have honesty and integrity. Think about things before you do it, even if you're angry, you know. And
Mhm.
then on what we call the basic level, the foundational level, who are you? And that's the toughest question for people to ask. Who are you?
Mhm.
Right? What do you stand for? Who is D'Angelo? Who is, Corey? Who is Jonathan? Well, who are you? And you'll see, I always challenge that. I say, listen, I don't need to answer today. But that question is profound. Oh, I know who I am. And then they hit you with every adjective. It's like, no, you're more than an adjective. I need to know, like, who are you? Because
Yeah.
I tell them, and then I share my story with them where I grew up, challenges and obstacles that I encountered during my time, and I'm like, hey, listen, now that you know this, you shouldn't have these issues, right? You shouldn't, as when I was younger, you had the kids that would stick like the little safety pin or something inside the socket, they get shot, and then it's just like, oh, you
Mhm.
shouldn't have done that. Well, you know that I just stuck this safety pin inside that outlet, that socket. Now, you saw the reaction that I had. You don't need to have that reaction to know that what I did was real, right?
Mhm.
And what I've been
Yeah.
through is real. And so having those conversations, we're very big in developing. We have a couple of mentoring programs we want to get towards the women in our office and the young men in our office right now. And we are very big on identity. Who are you? Understanding your self worth, but also understanding where your areas of growth are. So we do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, some of the opportunities you have, some of the threats that you have to your growth and your development. Right. And we found over the years that most of it is, i.e., social media or folks that are
Mhm.
in their lives that are not being truthful and honest with where they, with their words and their actions. And so we have to come in, and I've always told people this. I'll be naive to believe that I can change 18 years, which is when most I meet most of my students in 2 semesters. Not gonna
Mhm.
happen, right? But my job
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
make sure that I meet them where they are and say, every day, are you getting better? It sounds cliche. One day, you might not be the best mathematician, but are you able to get the concept down today that you didn't know yesterday? And if you are, then you're better today. We'll
Mhm.
keep asking that question. And a lot of the young men and young women have responded well to that challenge. And but my greatest success, and I say my greatest success, I wouldn't say my greatest success. I think my greatest success is graduating from college and under the circumstances in which I did it.
Mhm.
But the greatest feeling that I have every year is watching students go across campus because that's their accomplishment. I was just happy to be a part of their journey in the chapter in their book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I tell my parents all the time now that I'm of the age of where the light bulb went off.
Right.
I tell them all the time, I so appreciate them telling me, about their struggles and what they went through, and my grandparents and what they went through, because I think with those
Hmm.
stories and that knowledge, like, I'm better now than I was, when I was hard headed thinking I was knowing what I was doing. But now I'm like, oh, you was right. My bad. Like,
Right.
my bad, mom and dad. Like, my dad is like straight up will give you 120%. Mom, it
Mm.
takes a little bit, but dad was always the one like, I'll tell you, I did everything you think I didn't already did, or everything
Right.
you think you thought about, I didn't did already. So I
Right.
think that it's like just like the examples are just very much needed, because I kid you not, I probably wouldn't be where I am or what I'm doing if it wasn't for them and telling me, okay, this is what happened in, their entire lives, even with my grandparents as well. So I think, yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah.
That's good. So what do you have anything that you are like ready to tackle next? Because you said you plan ahead. So I know you thinking about it.
Yeah, we do.
Or you
I'm
personally, if you're thinking about doing something that that you've been wanting to do.
so I'm a so person so professionally right now. There's some things I want to tackle, but I can't mention right now because I am a USI and these are new initiatives. But I will say that
Got it.
um, when we talk about diversity and creating this diverse campus, we definitely have a focus on that. Um, Personally, I'm not gonna lie to you. The one thing that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and shout out to my brother in training, brother Christian Wise. Uh, I want to do a duathlon, and so that's when you run, you bike, you get off the bike, and you run again. And so that's one of my goals. And he always checks in like, man, have you been training on that? Have you been, uh, getting yourself together? Because I told him, once I put a date down, and I haven't put a date down yet, so I have been training a little bit, but once I put a date down, then it's game
You
time, right?
serious?
I'm serious. And so I'm trying to truly get a date I want to get it somewhere up north, but in the summer, so it's not cold, but it's not southern Alabama heat, right? So I don't want to do it in the summer down south because I won't make it. But
this heat is something else. Like in the transition from Indiana to Alabama, I was like, oh, I don't know if I did the right decision or not.
You thought you knew hot when you were in Evansville. Listen, this ain't the day. It's real down there, right? And so that's
you stepping a whole furnace down here.
That's one goal, and of course, just to be able to, I say for me personally, being able to do some things where I'm able to start leaving a legacy and leaving some things, because I tell folks we got one body, one life, unless you believe in reincarnation, and so you got to do what you got to do in this life, and so that's kind of where I am right now, as far as the professional and personal thing. But it is we live in a beautiful world. Sometimes though it's overshadowed by the ugliness, and so my job is just to be as positive as I can possibly be when I'm working with my students, the community, and everybody else on campus, because we can do some great things if we just all believe in the best of one another.
Mm-hmm. And I know being in news, like I said, I'm tired of writing about y'all shootings and murders and stabbings and all that. So literally the weekend is straight up unplugged. I don't look at one news, nothing.
I'll give you. So you're in news, right? So when I was running the office here, there was I forget the station. They interviewed me up right where this Wendy's is, right where it used to be, where it's down by campus, and they were like, people are saying these things about your campaign, and people are making, they're throwing mud. We want to interview you. So I said, bet I'm gonna go and interview. Right. Well, that night, so here they are wanting to, put this negative thing in there. Right. That night, I'm sitting in, and they said, we want to talk about how this support group helped this woman overcome cancer. I said, as mad as I am that I'm not going to be on the news tonight, I'm happy because we're finally seeing something positive. And I told them, I said, they said you're going to be on the news. I said, no, I ain't going to be on the news tonight. They're running this cancer story as women in our support group. So I'm not going to be on the news tonight. And that was cool because oftentimes it leads with the worst things, breaking news, somebody's been shot or somebody has been stabbed or, somebody has been robbed, and, when we had, the last individual in the White House, it was always something. And so we had to think about like, dang, are we ever going to get anything good? And so that's my job, send out those positive vibes and be able to actually impact folks' lives in a positive way.
And I definitely try to, because I'm a news producer, I definitely try to, at the end of each show, because there are different blocks. So the C block is always the happy stuff to end on a happy note. Because I mean, you at the top and it might be breaking news at the top. The whole A block might be arrest and coronavirus all up through it. Right. And then you like, okay, so what we gonna go to now? Yeah,
I love this. I love this broadcast terminology. I got my minor was actually in broadcasting in college, and so every time I wanted to strike up a conversation, I said, "Listen, we having this conversation. Roll the camera." So what you rolling the camera for? I said, "We need to get some B-roll," and they always laugh at me. Yeah, I was like, "How'd you know about B-roll?" I said, "Listen, I know a little bit, just enough to be dangerous, right?"
Yes.
I remember writing those scripts. I remember having a kid. Less is more. I remember all of that. I remember trying to read that teleprompter too. It's like, you know what? This might not be
the scrolling with the remote. Right. You make one false move and the whole thing just fly up.
So I always appreciate people in journalism, especially those who are on television journalism, because people see the product, but any wrong move can make that go bad. Maybe a video is playing of something it's supposed to be B-roll, but you think it's the real clip because you loaded it up with the wrong name. Anything.
Now it's gone to an automated system.
Right.
So it's called TMP. So now it's automated, and all they in there doing is pressing a space bar. So you like, please, Lord, let the editor have attached the right video. Like it's it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like before I got into journalism, I really didn't understand the behind the scenes, but now that I'm in it, like both feet in the mud in it,
Right.
I have a bigger appreciation for all the journalists, especially the ones that look like us, because man, the stories that I hear about the stuff that goes on and they have to deal with, I'm glad I'm behind on the inside, because there is no way I wouldn't have no job. There's no way. The stories, there is no way. There is no way. Well, Dr. Taylor, I so appreciate you coming on here today. This will stay on YouTube and Facebook, and then I'll take a little clip of it and post it to Black Media Moguls Instagram to drive everyone to this interview. Make sure, again, you guys go to blackmediamoguls.com to go check out the website. Also, if you know someone who would be good on Community Spotlight, you can also go to the website and they can fill that out as well, because we've had some amazing interviews and I can't wait to grow this platform. And then when Dr. Taylor's, new stuff comes out, he can come back.
Absolutely.
So you got to come back.
Anytime. You just let me know. You got all my information, so just let me know and we can make it happen. Thank you for everybody who's watched or who's going to watch. Just know that, Bree, you probably, I always pride myself on, when I have an interview, is getting the interview with the most views that they've ever had on their program. So I don't know about everybody else who's been interviewed, but this is gonna blow up, because when I send it to my friends, when you get that little clip, just send it to me. You're gonna say, dang, all these people. Listen, I have a great support system, and I think you do as well.
That's good.
And that's how we've been able to make it to this point. And so those folks who truly support you, not just for a show, but who really want to be there.
Oh yeah.
So just let me know. Yeah. You get that link, send it to me, and we can be good to go. And again, thank you for this opportunity. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, because I'm in the office right now, so I'm gonna enjoy my Saturday starting at probably about 3:00. And then I'll be good. Well, it's raining where you are, so you can't do nothing. You just got.
It's coming down. I know you saw me look like.
Yeah.
It got real dark, and then that thunder started hitting. And I was like, okay, we in hurricane season still.
Yeah. You probably saw that lightning. It was like, did that just hit my car? You didn't know how close it was.
It really, kid you not, Indiana from Alabama weather. It is no comparison. No comparison at all. So have a good Saturday, and we will catch up soon. My next interview, I think, is next Saturday. Maybe I gotta look. Most of the times I do them every weekend, so it's been a crazy ride. But super thankful for everybody that gets the opportunity to come on. So have a good Saturday, and we'll see you guys next weekend.
See y'all later.